Let's talk about the U.S. Secret Service and the way Kennedy assassination researchers went about getting Searcy killed, the way Obama went about getting Searcy killed. Massachusetts people can't believe they're dealing with a situation where Obama got three of the Kennedys murdered, but they are. Now, the way the Secret Service and the Kennedy assassination research operate is, for one thing, they're very loyal to Cyril Wecht, the author of Grave Secrets. And their take on anything I say is, you are not JFK, don't play act all big. And anything I do to explain what really happened, they say is play acting all big. Either you're a leader or you're out. Well, I'm out because I'm not a leader. That's not what I'm doing. I'm an amateur journalist who got wind of something. Let me explain this. There was a team in Pittsburgh, a secret team, to use their sort of parlance. Martin Alderman, who was involved in a Wells Fargo takeover, Thomas Hale Gordon, who was a classmate of Polly Saltonstall, and Barack Obama at Harvard, the Gonzalez brothers, Andrea Swimmer, Leslie Katz. They all worked together for Ming-Na Cohen and Justin Chang and Steve Langer to form a group who played sexual shenanigans on me when I was in trauma and my memory was gone from coma, and I was just trying to adjust to moving back to Squirrel Hill, which was a Holocaust survivor community, after we had to flee our house and move. And of course, they had poured acid on my face and made a big stink when I tried to defend myself from some kid who came at me with scissors and all of this stuff to cut off my hair. And I wish I would have let him, to be truthful. But the point is that what they did was impinge these personas. And anytime I said something really strange is going on with this group of people, I'd like to get some help. They all pounced together. And they even had Patrick Buchanan pouncing on me, saying, everything you do proves that virginity is rape. And this was their obsession. They were obsessed with the idea of proving that virginity is rape. That's why they went after Cersei's virginity before they murdered her. All of these people were friends with Tom Gordon. They say, oh, Ringo Starr was like, oh, you were sharing brain cells with Tom Gordon. You laughed when he sent you a letter. What happened was that I was play acting to Miles Kirshner in a style that we had always play acting when something was hyped. But when I actually read it and thought about it, I started wondering what was going on with this crowd and reported it to the authorities. But of course, they said I was a snitch. Gonzalez, Swimmer, Gordon, Carbonell, Milnes, Schulman, all of them were in on the script. They were working with Neva Pornographic and Yoko Ono through Warhol. Amanda Harcourt was saying they're going to use my poetry as triggers for fun and games and entertainment for the AIDS culture and the gay culture, and it ends supposedly with the nuclear explosion, right? So this is what we get with the mixed up psychology of the Beatles. That's what we're supposed to be worshiping, right? Is a nuclear revenge attack by the Japanese on our own people. So when I went to the authorities, I had very good reasons for going to the authorities. They were play acting that the idea of date rape was funny. This was Gonzalez's friend. All of these people were much, much, much tighter with Gordon than I ever was. Gordon was always trying to kick me, start fights with me. He went after my sister. Kirshner, Alderman, Katz, Schulman, Stuart Onan, all of these people were like this with Tom Gordon, and I was estranged from him. And yet Ringo Starr was saying, you are the one who was sharing brain cells with him. I was not. I was the person who you assholes scripted and supposedly left holding the bag. Well, anybody in their right mind realizes that it's criminally insane, that they were robbing the Carnegie, that there was this place called Flynn Construction. Okay, they had Yemeni Creary in the passenger seat, and they raced around a school bus. I was furious. I quit the job. I ended up 2 years homeless. in Seattle who was helping these people refused to allow me to go to school. They were calling neuroplastic head trauma from an acid burn and torture and deafness. And I'm losing my eyesight now. Self-inflicted paranoid schizophrenia, genetic paranoid schizophrenia. Yeah, and nobody ever questioned that. And when I went into school, because a deaf girl who was raped for it, as seriously was, taught me sign language, and I made Phi Theta Kappa, they were jumping up and down. We're going to get you, we're going to get you, and they're still at it, because they say, oh, it's worth money. Okay, they're much more interested. You saw the Fernhollow Bridge collapse, right? That's right where this happened. There's this place called Flint Construction. It's solid cement masonry. You can't see through it with night vision with ultrasound. You can't see into this place, and that's where they probably went with brokers to sell the exotic books that Schulman was caught red-handed stealing. Did anybody apologize to me? When I ended up at Sound Mental Health, the first name that came out of my mouth was John Schulman. His gang was behind that, and I knew it. They who ripping me off from my stamp collection said, "You're starting rumors about him." Starting rumors about him. I simply asked the obvious question. He collected a lot of money from the post office, and the post office was helping him. They ripper murdered some girl over it, okay? But the post office, he collected a lot of money by what looked like a false reporting of loss of a rare book. And I just raised the question, is he ripping off the post office? Starting rumors about him. He got caught red-handed in an $8 million museum heist. But who's working behind the scenes with him is Cyril Wecht. He's the one who coordinated these people. He's like this with the Kennedy assassination researchers. So when the Smithsonian, who also are like this with Cyril Wecht, when the Smithsonian got news of John Schulman, they reported as him and Ellis. And Robert Fripp's tea kettle went off because he knows that Leslie Katz is from Ellis, and that means he's been helping the people who ripped off the Carnegie. None of these people are the slightest bit honest. None of them care anything at all about the United States. They're ripping us off and they're lying. And when I tried to get to the bottom of it, they said what I was doing was criminal. That's sick. Why is it criminal? Because I didn't want them to make a peep show out of me and the girl who I was engaged to be married to. That's criminal. It's criminal to not want your privacy invaded with their peep show. And this is real. Okay, this is what Obama was up to, and he was saying that I was that my confusion about being a rejected lover as a deaf person, as a white deaf person, was proof that the virginity of the girl was right. And they actually made this play to the point where they raped Jeannie, they raped and murdered Susie, and they chemically castrated me. And they still want the money. The money. Do I have some asset? I don't know something about them. Maybe I should. It doesn't matter. They are UW dialectical. They are the administrators. They're criminally insane, and none of that matters to any of them. They just want to move on now. They've got a motion picture drama in the Ukraine. Everything's going to be real, electrifying and frightening and full of fear if we don't settle down and accept what they did. So, that's where, nobody's going to protest. We have to save climate. Nobody's going to protest now. No. Nobody's going to care about the grannies who were lost to this mania. No. If you look at Pittsburgh, dead in the eyes and just say, we know you did this, okay? And we'd like you to straighten yourselves out because we know you did this. That's probably the best anybody can do, because I don't think it's destroying the planet over these weird stupids who were stealing and lying and doing things. But there's one thing that really should sink in about all this. HOLLYWOOD, Hollywood. They're the ones who were behind this. Fox Media, Trumpy Tunes, Hollywood. The media mecca puppet show of all this stuff. It's absolutely bananas. And so you got to figure it must have involved Woody Allen, right? It probably does. WEC talks to all of these major figures, and court helps coordinate these things. Oliver Stone, who works with WEC, was in close contact with Putin through the whole thing. So you got to figure they strategically as an entity, they want, this process of coming forward with this stuff all wrapped up and accepted. You lost, queerball. We stole your women. We killed your Kennedys. We got rid of your grannies, and America is cheering us. America itself is cheering us. And so you better wise up, boy, because Seattle still has plenty of hard rocks to throw at your head if you don't. And this is an alliance between everybody. They just say, well, we want to sacrifice somebody. That's who's going to stop us. Nobody can stop you. I'm telling the truth. I'm certainly within my rights to tell the truth. I don't own any weapons, so I mean, if you pull a weapon on me, you're a chickenly and useless, worthless person. That's the only thing I have to say. You know, and it's but somehow these losers consider themselves courageous. They consider themselves proud wild men of some sort. I mean, it doesn't make any sense. Why? Because they were jealous. What were they doing peeping at me? What was it? What's it's asinine. The world that one is some kind of prison where everybody has to sort of reduce their freedoms to save the world. And I think that there's something to be said for some restraint. That's why I don't own a car. I'm trying to reduce my carbon footprint. I took classes in botany. I took classes in climate change. I'm certainly sincere in my profound admiration for Greta Thunberg, but I don't like Arnold Schwarzenegger's hand in all this stuff. It looks like Hollywood manipulated all of this stuff into place. And it's just pulling strings, saying, here's the setup. And the setup is we have to save the earth. Are you in or are you out? Well, I'm in. I want to try to save the earth. But I think people should know the truth about this BS because they keep playing all of these laws. Gonzalez, Andelman, Katz, um, Stuart Onan, Martin Andelman, I don't know who I did, Andrew Swimmer. These people were like this with Tom Gordon. It was because I asked questions about what happened with him when he was with Salt and Stone and Obama at Harvard, when they were staging this stuff, that they skewered me. It was because I didn't like what they were doing that they skewered me. It was because I didn't push myself on Leslie Katz. I allowed her to be very intimate with me without trying to call her to a wrecking, like Shakespeare calls it, because I respected her. That they skewered and castrated me. Virginity doesn't prove rape. Virginity proves restraint. You see, and that's why I thought wrongly, but that's why I thought King Crimson would see it my way, was because they used to talk about things like admirable restraint when they put out the song Trio. Well, it turns out admirable restraint when it comes to King Crimson counts for nothing because they were in on it and they were part of the staging process of Hollywood this, Hollywood that. So it's part of the educational vanguard now. Let's learn from it. These people were sick. There definitely should be outcasts from honorable society, in my opinion. What else could it be? That's what some kid said to me. What else could it be but your opinion? Well, that's my opinion. Maybe it could be the truth, but it's my opinion. My opinion is that they were the ones who were involved in questionable ideas about what was good and right to do. Might makes right and so forth. And what is January 6th and Putin doing in syncopation with each other anyway? What is this movement about the nature of reality that just infringes on the rights of common villagers? And it's absurd. And what there's an abhorrence of the people who made this whole song and dance up in Pittsburgh, Carnegie Mellon University, Jaime Carbonell, the Milnes brothers and stuff. There's an abhorrence to admitting that Andrea Swimmer was working for the Neva Corporation, that she was a hired agent, that she was a hardened criminal who was planning this whole thing all along. There's an abhorrence They dared me and they programmed me and they tried to get me to call her things like a fallen woman, various synonyms for fallen woman. I refused to do it. I refused to do it because I understood that there is some question as to whether or not we should prejudice people for what their private code of conduct is. And I was just learning. I was just beginning to learn the issues that come streaming out of the PhD wards of dialectical UW and focus the faculty of Carnegie Mellon. You think I had a chance against that? I was deaf. A deaf girl with Down syndrome taught me sign language. And she was attacked and raped just as Circe was. So, I mean, we're dealing with a Federal Bureau of Investigation that has a hard on for me personally and doesn't care about the evidence, doesn't care about the truth. They just have, a gyrating pig wiener that they want to ream me with. That's the whole thing with them. They don't have any concept of what's true or right or wrong.